Hey, Allison Verhalen here with AV Writing Services, and today I want to talk to you about content relevance. So if you've ever typed a search term into Google and you click on the first thing that comes up and you look through that website or watch the video or whatever it might be, and it turns out that the content on that website really doesn't answer the question that you were trying to ask. So you click back, you try to find something else. Maybe the next thing you click on does have what you want, and that's great. Other times, maybe you're searching through, I know I've had this where I search and search on Google and nothing seems to be coming up. That might be an example of a content gap, which I have talked about in other videos and blog posts, so you can look at those for reference, or it might be a lack of content relevance on the part of those people who created that content that ultimately showed up in those searches. Google is not perfect. It is getting better and better at pairing searchers with the content that they're looking for. But again, it's not perfect. It's still working on that algorithm constantly, and it is still perfecting it. So sometimes you're going to get stuff that just doesn't match what you're looking for. So like I said, sometimes it's just a matter of a content gap. Maybe the content just isn't really out there. Maybe it is out there, but Google got fooled by certain keywords, and maybe people put a whole bunch of keywords into their content that don't really answer the question that people are asking when they use those keywords. So sometimes you can just tweak your search term and find what you're looking for, but it's understandably super frustrating to try and click through to something looking for an answer, and what you find is just not what you're looking for, and you have to try and click through other stuff and try and tweak your search term, and it's super frustrating, right? So obviously, as a marketer, we don't want to annoy our prospective customers. We don't want them frustrated when they find our website. And when they do find our website, we want them to find what they're looking for. We want to attract those people to our website who are actually looking for us. And we want to make sure that the content on our website answers the question they're asking. So how do you make sure you do that? The answer is content relevance. So first, I'm going to give you a quick definition of content relevance. It refers to how well the information in a particular piece of content corresponds to the search terms that people are using for which that piece of content might rank. So in order to determine content relevance, Google's algorithm takes into account a variety of factors. Obviously, the keyword is a big one, but it's also the text that's there, the images, the video, the meta tags, the alt tags, all that good stuff. So remember that Google is looking at a ton of stuff when trying to determine your content relevance. So why does this matter? So like I said, you don't want people getting annoyed. First of all, you don't want to attract the wrong people to your website, because that's not going to do you any good, right? Especially if you're paying for Google ads. If you're paying for that top spot and then people click through, you are paying for that click. So if that's not a warm lead for you, if that's not someone who's really looking for what you're offering and they're just going to end up clicking away, that is money that just went out of your bank account and got you absolutely no closer to converting that lead into a customer. So it's not good for them. It's not good for you. It's not good for Google. Google obviously always wants people finding what they're looking for. Ultimately, that's Google's goal, is to pair people with the content they're looking for. So everyone is frustrated when there's no content relevance and no one is getting what they're looking for, and it's frustrating for everyone. So I think it's pretty clear why you want content relevance. It can help you with your SEO, because again, Google is looking for that content relevance. So if you have it, you have that better chance of showing up in searches. So now that we know why it's so important and what it is, there are two big ways to increase your content relevance. And one is to really do a little bit of a deeper dive into your keyword research. And I've talked before about keyword research and how to make sure that you have that content gap, right? The keywords that you're using have a fairly high search volume, not a ton of SEO competition or keyword difficulty. Depending on the keyword tool you use, you might have a slightly different name for that particular number, but the number is going to be between 0 and 100. 0 or maybe 1 is the lowest one. again, depending on your keyword tool. So the lower the number, the lower the competition rate. That means there's not a ton of content out there already using that keyword, which means you have a solid chance of ranking for that keyword. So you're going to want to do that keyword research, but you're going to want to dive a little bit deeper into that keyword research. You're going to want to look at the related keywords. Are the related keywords relevant? Are they actually related to what you're trying to look up? So for example, I have a client who helps people get better sales for their company. She calls herself the sales manager on demand. So I was writing some content for her, trying to figure out what keywords to use. And I just started with the word sales. Obviously that didn't get me very far, because a lot of people, when they type sales into Google, they are looking for a sale, as in looking to get a deal on something, or they are looking for something on sale. They're not necessarily looking for how to get more sales. For that, I would need to be a little bit more specific, either use a different keyword or a long tail keyword. And again, I've talked about short tail versus long tail keywords. You can look at my other videos and blog posts for that definition. But I wanted to get some other words in there. So I remembered that this particular client talks about getting people to have better sales conversations. So I typed in sales conversations. Still, the relevant keywords still weren't the best, but then I looked down at the competition. So once you get through, those top numbers, the metrics, and then the related keywords, then you get down into the trend of the keywords, which is where, and again, this depends on your keyword tool that you use. I use SERPstat, that's my favorite keyword tool, but and a whole bunch of other SEO tools as well, but I primarily use the keyword research tool. The keyword trends is going to show you when that keyword is most popular. Obviously, some keywords are going to be a little bit higher, have more searches during certain times of the year and less searches during other times of the year. Then you get below the keyword trend and you get into the competition, and it's going to show you a list of the websites that rank for that keyword. So when I was searching sales conversations, I found more people who were not necessarily in direct competition with my client, but they were websites that covered the same kind of topics. We're talking Inc.com, Entrepreneur.com, all of these B2B, really well-known websites were using that keyword sales conversation. And I know that that content on their website was going to be relevant to that. So now I know that that's a good keyword to use. So that's how you can use your keyword research tool to make sure that your keywords are relevant and you've got that content relevance when you're using those keywords. Finally, always do a Google search of any keyword that you use to see what actually comes up. And again, I've talked about this before as far as search intent. Again, other video, other blog posts, I'm not going to get into that here. But another reason to do a Google search for your keywords before deciding whether to use them is to make sure that the content is relevant. If you look for something on Google, again, if you're looking for sales, you just type that one word into Google. It's not necessarily going to give you a whole bunch of blog posts or articles on how to have better sales. It's probably going to lead you to sales, to places you can buy stuff, to Amazon, to Etsy, to whatever your real retailer of choice tends to be. So keep that in mind, and really do your research there. If people tend to show up for that particular keyword that are not related to your industry at all, maybe you want to use a different keyword. If you've got some competitors showing up, that's an indication that you're in the right area, because if your competition is using that keyword, if they're targeting it, there's probably a pretty good reason that they're targeting that keyword. So do your research and make sure that your content is relevant so that you can show up in those relevant searches. So that's it. Those are my tips for today. If you have any other questions about content marketing or really anything else, you can find a whole bunch of other tips on my website, avwritingservices.com. And if you have any questions you want to ask me directly, you can either pop a comment here on the video or you can email me at info@avwritingservices.com. That's it. Those are all my tips for today. Have a great week and happy marketing.